Hello and welcome to another Star Wars: Old Republic video. We are going to be looking at the week of March the 8th. Yeah, it's March the 8th already. I'm going to be looking at what's available this week for your farming needs, what weekly missions are available. Just before we get into that though, I will talk a little about gearing progress just to give you guys some advice if you're kind of stuck and you haven't really made it through the gearing quite yet and you're a little bit behind. You can always go check out my other 3 videos, week 1, 2, and 3 of 7.0, and you can put together the information from watching those to get a general idea and just spread it out as needed. One thing that I have noticed a lot of players doing with their gear is they tend to have this collection of blue and green gear because it does take a lot of hours to actually farm up a full set of gear. And when you go into Flashpoints and you go into other content and they give you this piece of blue gear, you're kind of like, oh, it's an upgrade compared to my green gear. Even though it's the same item rating, I might as well throw it on. When you look up at the chart here, you really want to take a look at a few different things. One of the things you want to look at is in each path, I show you conquest gear. You'll see there's 2 little bar graphs next to it, and you'll see that they're color-coded for the currencies that are needed to upgrade the gear as well. So when we look at the conquest path, you can see metals of accommodation. The amount that's required is slightly higher than the majority of paths, but it's not too crazy. The amount of aquatic resource matrix, though, is very high compared to the other paths. But if we go over to the Flashpoint gear path, you can see less metals of accommodation are needed, less aquatic resources. But if you look at that bar chart for the Decurion isotope stabilizers, it gets crazy. And to make matters worse, that was kind of an average between the costs of the green and the blue that I chose to do. The green Flashpoint gear is cheaper on Decurion isotope stabilizers by a little bit, and the blue is expensive by a little bit. The Decurion isotope stabilizer cost of upgrading Flashpoint gear is excessive. So I really want to steer people away from using currency to manually upgrade Flashpoint gear, other than over time you will start to collect some excessive amounts of Decurion isotope stabilizers and you can upgrade a few pieces. You want to get most of your upgrades for item rating power done either through the operations path, which is still a little bit pricey, or the conquest path. The reason why you might not want to do the conquest path is maybe you just don't like farming that many aquatic resource matrix. You're going to have to farm them no matter what path you're doing unless you're relying solely on those upgrade crates. You want to be thinking, okay, I put the blue gear on, I'm going to keep the green gear, I'm going to upgrade the green gear, put it on once it's a higher item rating, and then once I start getting some blue pieces, then I can start going back into blue, keep the greens to upgrade again. Again, the people who are happy to do Galactic Starfighter, that is a great, wonderful option, and you should definitely look into that because you don't need to even win matches, you just need to complete matches for the weekly, and you can get gear upgrades pretty fast through that path as they give you a lot of currency compared to the cost of upgrading. There's your general idea. Now I've actually started farming a whole bunch of other sets other than just Force Lords. So now I've got Pummelers, and I can look for one of the Pummelers pieces that has accuracy on it. So this glove, it has accuracy, and if I go look at my main DPS set here, the glove here has crit. So I could be swapping out these gloves, and I've been stockpiling a whole bunch of gear to create sets for my alt, so I'm not constantly sending stuff in the legacy bank and shuttling it back and forth. And I've been creating a whole bunch of sets of 326 green by making sure my character wears their set of 326 gear and then pops these Noble Decurion distribution chests. So let's take a look at what you might want to be doing this week for aquatic resource matrix farming. So the very first thing is we're actually going to jump into the daily areas that are available this week. So you have Onderon, Zyos, CZ198, and Makeb is up. Makeb seems to be up every single week. So CZ198 is great, very straightforward. You just go there, pick up everything, do it super fast. Zyos, it's not really bad. It's a little bit of a longer planet. So, you know, I wouldn't necessarily suggest doing it, but at the same time, it's not too bad either. It's reasonable for time, so I wouldn't say avoid it like I do say some. Makeb, just avoid it, unless you really want to do Makeb for some reason. And that brings us to Onderon. I only need to do 6 missions. Right now, I'm going to show you guys the fastest way to do it on the Imperial side, and then we'll take a cut and go look over at Republic side. So the 6 missions that I picked up are Advancing Science, Good Hunting, Recording History, Rooftop Rumble, 2 Birds with 1 Stone, To Catch a Killer. So what's going to happen is inside the city, you're going to do To Catch a Killer and Rooftop Rumble. So once you're done in the city, you're going to quick travel to outside to the Lodge Gate or just walk yourself out. It's really not a big deal which one you choose to do. And then you're going to go down into the Oasis to harvest Orlax glands and lure and defeat a Praetor. Once you're done there, you can quick travel your way over to Canyon Camp, and then you can walk your way down to the Republic Forward operating base, where you can do the 2 birds with 1 stone mission, and you can also do the good hunting as well in this area. You want to make sure that you scan the proving grounds at this point for part of recording history. Then you're going to quick travel your way to Cave Camp, and from Cave Camp, if you walk a little bit towards the city, you're going to be able to scan 2 areas for the recording history quest. So you can definitely scan by looking over the piece of rock here in the Lair of the Untamed, and of course you can scan Iza's city as well. Once you've done there, you're going to quick travel your way down to Archaeological Site. Just from right outside here, you'll be able to scan the last statue right here. So yeah, Ossus, quite quick. It's also one that I suggest putting on your list of farming aquatic resource matrix this week. Alright, so now we're on the Republic side to look at what missions you should pick up to do the Onderon daily area. One thing I want to point out that I forgot to notice when we were looking at the Imp side is you actually get tech frags from the Onderon daily area, so that's another great reason to be coming in here for those aquatics. The missions that I'm going to suggest picking up is I've got 7 missions, and I'm going to say one of them is up to you which one you'd prefer to do. So Proving Your Worth, Blinding the Enemy, Capture and Release, Cleaning Up the Streets, Feeds Gone Dark. Those 5 I'm saying they're the best ones to do, and then after that I'm going to say, do you want to do Bag and Tag or do you want to do Tame? Now let's look at the route and figure out why I'm kind of hesitant to suggest Bag and Tag over doing Tame. So we're going to run into the city and we're going to be killing these 3 guys. You can make it a little more time efficient by just going specifically after the guys you have to kill, and once they're dead you can run out of the phase and the enemies stop chasing you as they're in a phase. Then you can immediately go out of the city, and if you want to do Bag and Tag, here it goes. You're going to get the first mark right outside the city. We're going to walk up to work on surveillance devices. We're going to go over to our tracking devices for Feeds Gone Dark. And then we're going to walk back to do more surveillance devices because the next Bag and Tag objective is going to be about here. From there, we're going to quick travel probably to lake encampments, or you go up here and then you're going to find your next Bag and Tag in this general area. So it's a little bit of excess walking to get to this Bag and Tag, when really what we want to do is come up to Capture and Release. Once you're done with Capture and Release, you'll just quick travel back to the lake overlook, hop down over the cliff, and finish off Bag and Tag over there. So Bag and Tag, I don't like that there's a little bit of extra walking to get each of the tags and kill the final boss. So that's where I'm saying that you might want to choose Tamed, because what's going to happen next is once you're done with this area, you're going to quick travel into the Cave Camp area, which is kind of what I call the Untamed area, and you're going to light your ceremonial torch, and then you're going to walk into the Untamed lair and do the mission there. So Tamed is down in there, so it's up to you. If you would rather do the Tamed mission where you have to kill a whole bunch of enemies, it's probably going to be a little bit faster, but it's a lot more killing. It's kind of 50-50. I'd pick either one. So there you go. That's how I'd suggest doing Ossus. Alright, so let's take a look at what we have available for us on the list of heroic missions for the week to see which ones are also farming. So nothing is going to beat CZ-198. Always go ahead and do that one. I would say that Belsavis is going to be the next best one that you want to be farming. On Imperial side, Belsavis is amazing, very fast. Definitely do this one, especially as a stealth. You're going to get a lot of shortcuts. And on the Republic side, it's also going to be pretty fast. So Belsavis Imperial side, what I take is Freeing the Fallen, A Rock in a Hard Place, Old Enemies, Lights Out, and Breakthrough. On the Republic side of Belsavis, I like to take Jungle Flight, Open Communications, the Tyrant, the Engineer's Tale, and the Stasis Generator. Belmora is a pretty good planet to farm as well. It's definitely not going to be as good as doing Belsavis, but it's fairly time efficient, and I would suggest doing that one as well. Belmora on the Republic side, I'm going to suggest that you pick up Industrial Sabotage, Local Predators, The Mandalorian, Acquired Taste, Colocoid Massacre, Shifting Priorities, and Target of Opportunity. On the Imperial side, you're going to want to pick up Toxic Bombs, A Question of Motivation, The Republic's Last Grasp, Comrade in Arms, Projects Hexapod, and Settling Debts. General idea, Belsavis is pretty decent whether you're on a stealther or not, but it's significantly worse on a non-stealther, and it puts it down into maybe territory. Belmora on the Republic side is pretty good whether you're doing stealth or non-stealth. Belmora on the Imperial side, you really want to be using a stealther, and it's definitely a maybe territory as a non-stealther on Imperial side. Nar Shaddaa, this one is just not good in general. It's super time inefficient to do Nar Shaddaa. Although there is a little bit of a thing on the Republic side where you can do Shadow Extraction Lab Animals and Hired Guns reasonably time efficient. That's 3 out of the 5 needed, and you could split Nar Shaddaa on Republic side into multiple days. Hired Guns is going to be the longest one to complete, so it's up to you if you want to actually do that one, or if you just want to do 2 per day. When it comes to Voss, Voss is great on the Imperial side no matter what. Just do it whether you're a stealther or not a big deal, but being a stealther makes a huge difference on the first Commando's call, as you get to run through a hallway full of enemies without having to kill any of them. On the Republic side though, absolutely not worth doing. For whatever reason, they really don't like you. The only one that's good is Trial of the First, which is same as the first Commando's call. And do you really want to be doing just 1 out of the 3 weeklies every day? I don't think it's worth doing Voss on the Republic side at all. So that is our aquatic resource matrix farming for the week, what we have available to us. So hopefully that gives you some great ideas of where you might want to farm if you're sick and tired of doing the world boss farms to get aquatic resource matrix. So this week's roster of operations is definitely a little bit more challenging for players, but really exciting to see Dread Fortress and Dread Palace on here. They are very great story-driven operations. That whole Dreadmasters arc is quite enjoyable. So yeah, if you want to do these on story mode, you shouldn't have too many problems. If you're going to do them on veteran mode, they are definitely a bit more challenging, as they're getting up there in difficulty and players do need to know what they're doing. Of course, if you're going to farm any of this on master mode, you don't really need my advice. When we look at the Nature of Progress, last time Nature of Progress was around, this weekly mission was bugged and you could not make progress at Defeat the Mutant Trandosans. I think it's partially because they get killed by the train instead of you, not too sure, so I wouldn't even suggest trying to do this weekly. Now let's take a look at what we've got for our Flashpoint queue. So again, doing veteran mode Flashpoint, it's not a big deal, but when we get into the actual master mode Flashpoints, it's important to understand which ones are challenging, to know where they sit, what you might want to be able to do or abandon instead. So our Circa ones, they are definitely easy. Circa Corporate Labs, Circa Core Meltdown, these ones the DPS check is usually around 12k per player, whereas players should be putting out at least 20k in a master mode Flashpoint. So quite easy. Kadamimu, also fairly easy. Mandalorian Raiders, a little bit harder, but still, it's one of the easier ones, so not a big deal. Lost Island, this one is very tricky. A lot of groups will probably fail on this one, so just be careful on that. Directive 7, pretty easy. Spirit of Vengeance on Master Mode, last time I've played it, easy, so probably you can do this one. And then Ruins of Null, well, we all know what's happening with Ruins of Null, and if you don't, yeah, Melgus, the last boss fight, is so glitchy. I would say Lost Island, Ruins of Null, those are the 2 hard ones this week that people will want to consider abandoning group if they don't know the group's capable. Alright, thanks everybody. I hope you found this super informative. I hope you found this to be very useful for helping you figure out what you want to farm this week. And yeah, thanks everybody for your support. I love that so many people come back, watch my videos, and do this stuff, and a lot of people do it on their own. So as always, have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.